am I live? Am I live? Are you guys seeing this? Yeah. Oh, look. Hi. Oh, hello, guys. I am live. Oh my gosh. Huh? This is like, okay, I'm waiting for someone to send in a request. Hey, dude, what's up? Charlotte. This is crazy for me. This is crazy. Good to see you guys. Not much. Oh, hey, Will. Ask to come on. I think if you ask to come on, I press it and then you come on. I think that's how it happens. Right? Hello? Oh, Neil, yay, thank you. Jesus, Murphy, how do you do this? Okay. I might have to like jump off and oh, Will, press the request button. Yes, Will, please press the request button. I'm just going to laugh. Come on with me, please. It's good to see you guys. I mean, talk to you, kind of. Can you guys hear me, by the way? What's the request button look like? Good question, Will. You hit request. I think I'm gonna accept Neil. Port pin, go live with Neil. I'm gonna go live with Neil. Are you there, Neil? What? Hello?
Look at you, technological wizard. You figured it out.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. Your hair looks great.
Thank you very much. That's very kind.
As much as I can tell with the cans on.
Yeah, I know.
It's my favorite. Have you watched any IG live videos or anything before doing this?
I have. They were smooth. They were really effortless.
Every single one. You followed the trademark of every single one, and it's my favorite part of IG videos is the first 30 seconds where you're just staring at the screen. Because you're no one's sure if they're live, no one's sure if anybody's watching. There's just this sort of blank for a second. So it's great. You figured it out. Hey.
Thank you. You know what? It's funny because there's nowhere to hide. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's not suddenly like, ta-da, we're working. You know, the curtain parts. There's that kind of awkward little, oh, I don't know what's going on. But
you look like you're in a beautiful green space. How is it around you?
It's lovely. I'm up in Vancouver.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm up in Vancouver, so we've had gorgeous
great
weather
weather.
here. Yeah, it's been really nice.
How's your pup doing?
He's good. He's at daycare today, so he won't be joining us, unfortunately. But yeah, he's doing good. He turned 1 3 days ago, so we had a little birthday party for him. Cooked him a doggy birthday cake. Yeah, so he's great.
I love seeing his little photos. They're so great. Aren't they like
adorable.
Gifts, especially now?
Oh yeah.
To have.
I mean, during COVID, I mean, you got 2, right?
No, I have 1.
You have 1.
He's like having 2.
Right. Yeah, he's a big boy, right? In Alsatian?
Yeah. Which
boy.
is German Shepherd for Americans.
Translating.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gorgeous, and especially during COVID. I mean, it was one of those things of just being able to go and take him for a walk twice a day. Long walks, just kind of getting out of the house was just such a gift.
Isn't it? Yeah. And petting, getting like physical contact with another being that's just so pure and direct. It's wonderful.
It's great. They just love you unconditionally. It's gorgeous. It's great for anxiety and depression and just for laughing, just the ridiculousness. Roscoe's got the most amazing comic timing. I can be sat on the sofa talking to Kim and say something, and he just looks behind and goes, and then lays back down again. You're like, right, dude? See, you get it. Yeah, it's adorable.
Can I just like jump in, because I know that I'm gonna try to get Will. I'm gonna try to get Patrick, like everyone on board. Would that be all right?
Yeah. Do whatever you need to do.
But I wrote questions.
Oh, look at you.
Like a big freaking keener, you know? So it's like, we're kind of, we're stuck because in a way we are limited about what we can say because it's supposed to be, no spoilers on this one.
Yeah.
So
we should all just kind of censor each other. If we sense that there's a spoiler coming up, we'll just beep each other out. Like,
yeah. Perfect. But I guess, like what we can touch on a little bit is maybe just you, your journey and some of the things that we've chatted about, some of the things that you've brought to light online, and just, for people that are getting introduced to the character maybe the first time or maybe experiencing his next chapter, how some of that maybe connects to this third season. And one of the things that I don't know that everyone online knows about is that when you and I first met for season 1, you were working on a script, and during the entire season, if you had a day off, you were off in a cafe and writing. And then when we were on hiatus, you went and filmed a sweet short, The Perfect Match, right?
Yeah, pair. Yeah.
A perfect pair, my bad. And you've been directing, you've been producing, you've been writing nonstop, and then now you have another show as well this past season that you shot alongside and then just after Jack's storyline was wrapped for the season. So you've been crazy busy, and if you're not busy because of other work, you're making work happen. But there was a time period where you were thinking for a brief moment where you might just have to leave the industry as a whole. And I was wondering this is like a heavy thing, but it's a really beautiful journey, and it so speaks to the sort of drive that you have and how beautiful it is that you're in this space of abundance in some ways. And I feel like for so many people right now who are experiencing what we're experiencing as a world, it might be nice to see an example of somebody who has swum out from underneath it and maybe even on a daily basis has to maintain a certain practice to do that. And I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about that.
So there's a lot. Thank you for saying and recognizing that. Yeah, to kind of bring people up to speed on my story who don't know, I had a really rough patch about 4 years ago. So I've been doing this professionally for 20 years, and as you know, and anybody who kind of pursues the sort of artistic life, there's a million ups and downs that happen throughout the course of the journey. But about 4.5 years ago, I kind of hit a real nexus point where I hadn't really worked for a year and a half, and the work that I had done had been single days on feature films. So getting paid a day rate on a feature film isn't much money, and definitely not to live on when you space out the amount of time between them that I had. And at the same time, I was ending a 10.5-year relationship, and I was struggling financially, I was struggling emotionally, and I had to really kind of think about what I wanted to do with my life. LA is a gorgeous place. I absolutely love LA, and but LA is a very competitive place, and LA is also a place that it rewards the hustle, and it to make you feel like you're failing, or make me feel like I was failing. So I was just really struggling. I made the decision that I was going to cash in my chips and move back to London and kind of reconfigure and see what I wanted to do, maybe move back into theatre, because I started in theatre, and see if that's something that I could do to kind of recapture my artistic passion. And then along came Absentia. And it's actually, it's a kind of weird, funny story, because we heard about this show, Absentia. Obviously, nobody knew anything about it. It's a brand new show. And it came from my English agent. And there were no directions in the audition. So I got the audition to come through, and they said to self-tape this audition. So I just assumed it was English. So I self-taped for Jack, and then heard nothing back for like 6 weeks. And thought, oh, well, it's just gone. It's disappeared. And it came back again, and there was a note saying, we noticed that the American accent slipped a couple of times. Could you do it again with a stronger American accent? I was like, I had no idea it was supposed to be American. I just did him as English. And so did the audition again. And then at the point that I was moving back to Britain and figuring everything out and trying to decide what the next path would be, we found out that we were going to have 3 months in Bulgaria shooting season 1. I remember I flew back from LA into London, then flew straight out to come and meet you in Bulgaria, and it was the first time we met, and sat and saw you, and you're just so warm and inviting and lovely, and we sat, and it was the first time I'd ever kind of creatively been brought into the process of a project. I mean, you can probably attest to this. This is like no project I've ever been a part of. I mean, we literally sat there, you, me, Oded, Catherine, who else was there? Was Maria there? I can't remember. But there was a group of us mining through the scenes, and at the same point, passing around the laptop as we were putting ideas into the document, in the final draft document, as we were coming up with what we thought the scenes and the subject and the meat of the scene should be. And a lot of those work sessions ended up being what ended up the scenes in season 1. And from the get-go, it just made me feel really valued and part of the process. Yeah. And
you're critical. You were critical. Even this last season, you came in, and that I think is. I'm cutting you off. Do you want to continue?
No, I'm good.
Can I gush on you for a second?
Please. I might just squirm over here, embarrassed.
Yeah. Okay. Good. But that's a quality I think everyone on the show brought. Everyone came with just this value-added mentality. Everyone cared. Everyone wanted to invest the most possible into their characters. I remember this season, you came in with beautiful ideas and thoughts about the trajectory for Jack. You are so committed to making sure that this character is understandable. The choices that he makes in second season, I think, in some ways could be judged, and you never did. You brought forth elements of this character that I think make an audience say, oh, I get why a character like this would make some of those choices. There's a deep loneliness. There's a deep, possibly even a version of self-hatred in a way, right? And
yeah, completely.
And also that's not something necessarily that you even shy away from on your posts as well. I mean, to speak about things that we can talk about versus like storyline stuff, which we can touch on. But the things that we can talk about are, you are an advocate for speaking about mental illness and for speaking about ways in which people can navigate those waters, and maybe you could talk a little bit about that, because you've done some things along the way that I think are really great tools and skills.
Well, thank you. There's a symbiosis, I think, right? I mean, I've lived with depression my whole life, and only really in the last like 5 or 6 years started to understand what depression meant, because especially in Britain, mental health awareness when I was growing up, there was none. I mean, my mum still calls them shrinks instead of going to a counselor. So the idea of going to a counselor was something that people who are incredibly broken go and do. But you don't, I mean, stiff up a lip and keep calm and carry on is the British way. So you don't talk about your feelings, you don't talk about your emotions. And this big thing happened about 6 years ago. I got a call from my mum, and my younger brother had just tried committing suicide. And he's lived with depression. And we've known about his depression for a long while, and thankfully somebody found him and looked after him. And then 2 days later he tried again, so we knew it wasn't a cry for help, and he's quite open about it. He won't mind me talking about it. But what that did is it suddenly gave me a laser focus, because I wanted to help my brother, and scared me beyond anything, the idea that I might lose him, and to such a thing as depression, which is the loneliest feeling I've ever had in my life, the feeling that you are completely alone and that nobody gets it. And the only way out of that is by talking about it and making yourself, myself, and other people realize that they're not alone. So in those really desperate, dark moments, even if there's one quiet voice that is somebody that is just across a phone or on Instagram, you know that somebody in the world has a skerrick of understanding of what you're going through, can be the lifeline that you need to get up out of bed, to just keep going. And so it started me down this path of, one, looking to really understand it, but also to delve into it and to try to understand my experience of it. And so a big one for me was cold showers. We've talked about this a lot. I happened to be listening to a podcast by Dr. Rhonda Patrick, who's this amazing doctor in California, around the time of my brother's suicide attempt. And she was saying that reducing your core temperature by 1 to 2 degrees has been proven.
Please tell her about this.
Yeah, we
tried it.
It's been proven to have, in clinical studies, it's been proven to have as good an effect on reducing depression and depressive feelings as leading medication. And one of the things it does is it lowers your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, raises your serotonin, which is a happiness hormone, increases norepinephrine, a whole host of stuff, which I talk a lot about on my page. And I contacted my brother and I was like, look, you got nothing to lose. Why not try doing cold showers? And she recommended 5 minutes as the minimum to reduce the temperature. And I never thought anything of it. We both happened to be in Britain at the time and it was freezing. It was January. And then he called me back 2 weeks later and he said, I'm on day 12. And I was like, what do you mean you're on day 12? And he said, I'm on day 12 of the cold showers. I was like, oh, that's amazing. Congratulations. How do you feel? And I'll never forget the phrase. He said, I was walking to work today and I found myself singing. Yeah. He didn't start singing. Yeah. He found himself singing. It makes me want to cry. Yeah. He just said that this feeling of joy was in my soul and I kept expecting it to go and it didn't all the way through the day. And so I said, great, I'm in. Let's do a cold shower challenge. I'll do 40 days straight with you and let's see how we feel. And by the 5th day, I knew I'd do cold showers for the rest of my life because of the change that it felt in me. And then I started looking at I'd done a ton of ayahuasca. I traveled around India, going to ashrams and doing silent meditations, all trying to dig in. For the longest part of my life, I was trying to escape that black, dark feeling that I felt. And I realized that what I want to do is dig in and make friends with it and realize what it is so that it's not so scary when it hits, and that I have a dialogue and a relationship with it so that when I get depression hitting me hard, which happens less than it ever has because of the relationship I have with it now, I don't lose myself in it. And the greatest tool for me has been talking about it with friends and with family or on social media and creating a community that allows a discussion to be had by it. And what I was saying by symbiosis is, at the point I was really digging into all of this, along comes Absentia. And here's this character who, in my opinion, is dealing with a lot of mental health issues. When his sister died, he couldn't metabolize that death because it brought with it a whole host of stuff of the fact that he felt like his father didn't love him. His father gave the love that he wanted to the sister, and the sister wasn't his biological sister, it was an adopted sister. So there's an animosity, there's a wordiness, there's a sense of sort of distrust. There's all these various different things, and when she died, he couldn't deal with it, so he fell into drink, he fell into sex addiction, and when we meet him, he's just starting to dig himself out of that hole, and suddenly, spoiler alert, but it's episode 1 of season 1, Emily is alive, and now he has to deal with the enormity of that, and he just can't, and he's spiraling. And all I wanted was for Jack to be happy, to find love and happy, but pursuit of just happiness and authenticity, that I felt really lucky that I got to channel a lot of that into the character. And especially this season with everything happened at the end of the second season, and this season, he's in the most pain we've ever seen him. And for somebody who's an addict, and for somebody who has a tendency to fall into that well of despair, it's a very dangerous place for him. He could start drinking again. He could go a myriad of ways if he doesn't find a way to titrate this emotion. And there's one pivotal scene that we had, and I'm not spoiling anything, which was a chance to titrate that. And we talked a lot about it. And I love the fact that you were open to those discussions. And you gave me I haven't seen an edit of it, but you gave me so much in that moment that allowed me to just surrender knowing that I'm safe, knowing that you've got me, so that I can let my own true emotions channeled through Jack come out in a pure way, to allow him to have this moment that he desperately needed, to be held and told that he's okay. So that for me is top 5 best moments of my career, honestly, that scene. So yeah, I want to thank you for that. I want to publicly thank you for that, for just being there for me and for holding that space and for letting me just be free to explore my emotions in a moment that we know sets are contrived. You know, it's not 2 people, it's 10 plus people depending on the set, and you got grips having a cup of tea and gaffers scratching their bum, and you're trying to block all that out to be emotional, and it's all about the dance partner, and you stood there with me in that space and encouraged me to lean into it. So it was a really beautiful experience for me.
I could dig into your brain a lot more, and I am open to doing this again now that I know how to do it. So if you ever want me to jump on your thingy and just chat with you, I have nothing, but you have a wealth of
You have so much. You have so much.
But thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being a lovely partner, and thank you for making these siblings so everything, so loving, such assholes, such stinkers, like everything.
Well,
thank you for that.
They're real,
and thank you
right?
for pushing. Thank you for pushing the story.
Well, that's what we do, right? I mean, we get given something, and it's our job to take something on the page, which already has so much life but isn't living, and interpret it in a way that makes it authentic and real, so that somebody tuning in, if they don't know who Stana is and they don't know who Neil is, can believe that these people are real people, because to us, when we're playing them, they are. And one of the many things I loved about this show, specifically our relationship, is how real it was.
Yeah.
They fight. They have animosity. They've got deep history, but at their core, there's a deep love.
Yeah.
There's a whole host of emotions, but when their backs are against the wall,
they have each other.
They have each other, and they know, whether it be a phone call, a text, a hug, they know that they're the one person in the world that they can turn to, to know that they have that, they have that one person. They're that for each other, which is just beautiful, because we've seen them through 2 seasons go through the ringer.
Whoa.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, how has experiences in your life informed the way that you've approached Emily? Because she's so complex.
Yeah. How has?
I mean, wait. Let me ask the specific thing. I knew of you before, and ironically, we're both starting Quantum of Solace together, even though we never shared the screen, which is so random. Yeah. So I knew of you before. I didn't see Castle, so I'd only seen a couple of little things that you did. But the first moment for me when I went, damn, is when you saw Flynn for the first time in season 1. And I've talked about it several times. For me, that was a masterclass. It was just a masterclass. I got to stand back as your brother in the scene and watch you see your son for the first time since believing that you were dead. And every single time I had to work hard not to cry, because you made me feel every part of that emotion. And is that something that you find easy to access, or is that a difficult thing?
No, it's where I just want to laugh and jump around and be silly. But when you have to lock in on something like that, it's, and some people, I would imagine, some performers and actors can just, I don't know where they get it from, but I feel for me, I have to try to dig for as much of the truth. And so it sits with you, and it kind of colors the entire afternoon. And it colors all the thoughts leading up to that day. It's, what does this mean for a person who hasn't seen this child that was ultimately their mechanism for surviving the worst? I remember that, and look, process-wise, it's a mixed bag for me. It's personal sometimes. Sometimes it's things that I read, things that I've witnessed, things that I've seen, friends' stories, like everything. It all comes into play, and you know that. Like we grab from our own experiences, but we grab from the world around us as well, right? We're copper conduits in some ways. And I was telling a colleague of mine, there was a photo I remember from an earthquake in Lima of a mother whose child had not survived it. And I saw this photo ages ago, and it's burned in my brain. I never forgot it. And there was just so much. She didn't have anything left to give in the moment. She was completely empty from that. And I thought of that for this character, and what it would feel like for this character to realize after everything was lost, everything was drained out of her, that in fact there was an ounce of hope, and to sort of reverse track on that depth of emptiness. So yeah, I mean, some of it is just luck and the magic of the moment, and it does take an entire group to make things like that sort of work. I'm glad that we could do and tell that story together, and I'm so grateful that you were supportive of moments like that, because Jack definitely was walking that walk alongside her. So thank you for that.
I don't know if you remember season 1, for the first few episodes, Oded called me the lampshade. Do you remember that? Because
do you remember how much yeah, go, you say that.
Well, there was so many moments in I just lurked. It's because we block shot. So for people who don't understand what that means, block shooting is normally a thing that's done in film, where you strip the script apart and then you shoot it according to, like, you shoot all the scenes that are in the kitchen, and then you'll strike that set and shoot all the scenes. So you might shoot scenes so the way we did it, we shot all 10 episodes block shot. So you might shoot a scene from episode 1, 3, 8, and 10 in the first day, and then you'll go on. And so it just so happened for the first week or so, all the scenes that I was in, Jack didn't really have dialogue. We had 1 or 2 words, so I'm lurking in the background. So I just spent the entire time lurking. But in addition to that, they hadn't completed the sets. So they would have me lurk in the background and hide the holes in the set, like hide literal holes in the set, or hide where there were cables. There was one little moment where Oded was saying, I had a big coat on, and he said, can you just put your hand on your hip? Because my hand on my hip was hiding cables that were laced up the back of the set. So he was calling me the lampshade because I was window dressing. Yeah,
well, you were upstaging. Oh, not purposefully.
With the door. Yeah, with the door.
There was something about you that everyone would just start laughing, you know? You'd come in and it would be a moment and we'd all stop and look, you know?
And I'm like Kramer.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was very, very funny.
A moment of lightness. And I was telling people, I'm like, listen, making thrillers is comedy. Truly, it is. And I guess we kind of need that, you know, we need that back and forth between the humor and the story in order to balance out everyone's life at the end of the day. I'm going to jump. I'm going to go and speak to a couple of the other actors. I love you. Thank you very much.
I love you. This was fun. Thanks for having me on here. All right.
Yeah.
I'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. I gotta go get a charger before I put someone else on, and then I'm gonna find one of the other actors. It'll be cool. Hold on a second. Is it on? Yeah, good. I hope it's charging. Okay. Now, I'm. Oh, am I sideways for you guys? Hold on, let me do that. I am going to pop on. Ah, look at these requests. Cool. I'm Patrick, are you there? I'm going to try to connect you on.
Oh, hi.
Look at your hair.
I know it's so quarantine long. I haven't cut it. Actually, I think I've cut it once since we filmed. And I'm just gonna keep growing it out and see what happens till I have to
It's
work
cool.
again.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's fun. All my friends are teasing me. They're like, oh, it's college days, Patrick, because this is what my hair looked like in college because I couldn't afford to get haircuts.
Chic.
Man,
Hi, good to
hi,
see you.
really good to see you too. What a wonderful interview. That was,
Yeah?
yeah, like making me tear up just because I thought it was just so great. I mean, hearing so many wonderful, beautiful personal things and what like lovely, vulnerable questions. You guys were just, it was so sweet. It was so sweet. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I think I'm learning how to be vulnerable in public, and it was really nice to watch the two of you
Yeah.
do that.
I mean, Neil's fearless. He's
Yeah,
fearless.
well, you are too.
Awesome. How is quarantine? Like, how are you? Listen, okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You were amazing at making sure that you actually hit the gym third season, and for so many reasons that everyone needed to, right? Third season
Hmm.
is without pitching anything,
Hmm.
it's active.
Hmm.
So we had to be making sure that we were strong enough to sustain.
Hmm.
But how's quarantine for you now?
Quarantine, it's funny. So the first, well, I've texted with you a little bit. I sort of began in early February a very personal journey of kind of rewiring my brain. I've been living in this, I think, a very unhealthy sort of like approach to the world where I was very kind of I'm trying to take off of Neil's page and be vulnerable with you here, um, and be kind of living out of fight or flight. And I didn't really have a lot of tools or kind of educated myself in emotional intelligence and social intelligence. And there was a book that you recommended to me that kind of it came at I read it right in the middle of quarantine, and I had just begun meditating for the first time at the beginning of February and journaling for the first time and really starting to invest in a very real way of understanding how my mind works and
Yeah,
how life has affected me and how I've been moving through it and seeing that in the context of my life and the world, my environment, how I've been affecting people in my environment, how I can
yeah.
make my community feel like a safer, more beautiful place. And so I was right in the middle of that work, and then quarantine hit, and I was like, oh man, now I'm gonna eat everything. And I was eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches solid for like I think 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I just couldn't.
yeah.
And then I was like, all right, time to go to the gym.
That's
Time to
comfort
like,
food for me too.
oh man, I couldn't. I just needed to, and it was hard. Oh, I think I have a little bit of there's a beep here. Let me move away. Um, I think it was oh, beep's gone. I think it was uh, tough, like everybody for like it was for everybody. There was sort of this, somebody said it beautifully to me that the world is that beep being annoying, or should I just keep talking while it's going
Keep going.
on? Okay, okay.
I mean, yeah,
Um, Somebody said it beautifully to me. A lot of what was happening that everybody was feeling and we couldn't quite put our finger on is that we were grieving the world. We were grieving that the world has changed now forever, and you can't put a lot of us, I think, couldn't quite understand what that sensation was. Like, why are we eating so much? Like, I'm fine, you know, especially I'm not an essential worker, you know, I'm on a TV show, I've got comforts around me, and I'm living in a situation that I need to be very grateful for. Why am I sad? How dare I be sad? And sort of acknowledging that, our world is just going through massive change, and it's okay to eat all the food for a second and then get back on track and continue your personal journeys in life. I know you want to ask me questions, but I have to talk to you real quick about something, because
what do you want to know?
Well, I'm going to compliment you to bits.
Okay.
And
go. Let's go.
No, but like, I mean,
I'm here for this.
I am like blown away compliments. So the first part is I've seen all the episodes, and as you know, I just want to tell this little out of school story because it's kind of funny, but one of our executives on covering the project at Sony sent an email to all of us, like, and I mean all of us, like a lot of the crew, like every cast member, and I replied. I thought, oh, I'm going to reply. I'll write everybody a little note, and I started with Kasia to be like, hey, let me tell you. And I remember thinking, wow, she didn't blind CC everybody on that original email. Someone's going to make the mistake of hitting reply all. And that person was me. And I replied to everybody. And I was like, and so anyway, so first, sorry about the reply all there. Second,
no, it's all good. Yeah.
Dude, first of all, everyone, we all know how talented you are with your, especially emotional recall, your scene work, all that kind of stuff. But the show has not really featured you in action sequences in a way that it does this year. Stana, I mean, I'm not going to give anything away, but I will say there's kind of like two, I feel like, major sequence. Well, there's like three major sequences, but there's like two that are really, really long. And I was on each of them. First of all, the first one, I'll just say that. I was watching and I was like, this is straight out of Bourne Supremacy, Bourne Identity, like badass, close quarters, really cool, great design by Francois. You know, your stunt performing was incredible. Our stunt performers that are around us, like, you know, the whole doubles, everything. It was like just everybody was on fire. The way it was shot, it was really, really amazing. And that last, you know, the big one that I'm talking about, the one where like, you guys, everybody who's watching, it is, Will has talked about it a few times. I've seen him mention that it's like feature film quality. It is absolutely feature film level, huge, high quality. I think that I can't imagine an action film director watching you in this sequence and not being like, damn, if she can't, you know, lead an action film. Because it not only is it well choreographed and, you know, but the storytelling, your performance behind it, driving the scene with the emotional qualities of the character, you just managed to encapsulate so much. I mean, it was, and I'm really, the worst part about me complimenting you about your stunt work is I'm glazing over the really extraordinary emotional work that you've done this season. It is
Thank you.
No, for real. It is, you know, for people who've never watched our show before and they're going to start with season 1, I can't impress upon you enough how significantly improved our show gets from season to season. And in that too, that your performance, which is guiding, you know, is the guidepost for the show throughout in every season, how I'm so proud of everyone, first of all, for improving their work on truly on every level. I mean, production, writing, directing, you know, the sound quality, the music choices that we're using, scoring, etc. But to watch your performance in season 1 how much better you are even in season 2. And this is the goal, by the way, everybody listening. Like, this is no insult to the work we've done prior. The work we want as artists is to be better and better. And it really is, it's really spectacular, Stana. I hope you feel proud, and I hope that you receive all the kindness and love that you deserve for the hard work. And I think because I was, I don't want to give anything away by saying that. Let me say there's often a lot of, like, there's work that you hadn't seen me do until you got to see the show or started to see cuts. And there's work that I hadn't seen a lot of people do until I started to see cuts. And it was it was very clear, like it was kind of overwhelming as I was watching the show as to how much must have been on your plate this season, between stunts, between the producing work that you're doing, between the performance work that you're doing, how we were working with the writers and the directors along the way. And it was a massive undertaking, and you thrived, girl. You, like, it's really good. It's really good. It's really impressive. Making me tear up because I'm so happy for you. It's really good.
Can we talk about, because now everybody's going to think that I was like, hey guys, come on the thing, come online so we can talk about me. Let's talk about you. I want this audience to experience you, Patrick, to know a couple of details about Nick.
Sure.
The details that we can give. And maybe just tell them a few of the behind the scenes so that they get to know you even better. Because they'll fall in love with you as much as with Nick by the end of this phone call, hopefully. And if they already haven't, based on everything else that you bring to the table. So, a couple of questions. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Because I got my yellow notebook here. The first one's super duper lame. Like, the first one is like, you know, we dealt with the pandemic, and everybody had to figure out how are we going to now record ADR, because we finished filming before the pandemic started.
Yes.
And you have a great story about what it is you had to do and how you went about it. So tell us a little bit about the stuff that we had to finagle behind the scenes.
Okay, so for those who don't know what ADR is, sometimes when you're filming, like right now I had like airplane flying overhead or that beep out there. If we were filming a scene and you had that beep, if that beep was over the words you were saying, you have to go into a recording studio normally that looks just like when you see in music studios, people headphones on, and you re-record those words so it sort of feels seamless, like there's no interruption between a helicopter or a construction truck or whatever is around you. And so because of quarantine, some of us were not comfortable getting in our car and going and putting ourselves potentially in harm's way, and then potentially in harming other people by if we were to acquire COVID or had it already. And I chose to stay home, so they sent me this little microphone that I could plug into my phone. Then they had this app where I could watch the scenes and then record it. And I had like a workout mat, and I basically got inside of a closet. I built inside, you know, the workout mat that I put like a blanket under the hood. And I would start recording. And for the first part, it was working pretty great. But without spoiling anything, again, there's some sections where maybe I had to be hanging upside down. And so I was listening to the recordings I was getting back. I was like, boy, this just doesn't sound, this audio doesn't feel like it's matching the
physical reality.
Yeah, the video that I'm seeing. And so I ended up like doing this hanging upside down off of a bed. You know, I'm in the middle of a house. It's like dark outside. You know, there's some neighbors near where I was that were not close enough, but I'm also, I'm not spoiling anything I say this, but I'm like screaming at the top of my lungs to the point that I was scared that the police were going to get called on me for the ADR work. But it was really funny. It was really silly, and it was and it turned out great. I mean, I forgot honestly the very sequence that I'm speaking of right now. I forgot, which was the truck. I forgot that I had to do that. So I guess that's
I
good.
love how we're talking in code. I know exactly what
I
sequence.
know we can't, and I don't want to because I want people to watch it and be like, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa.
yeah,
There's so
yeah,
many
yeah. Which
fun
is why there's
surprises.
that one topic, again, talking around it.
Hmm.
There's that one topic where we have to protect the audience, and it's interesting, isn't it? It's kind of like,
Yeah, there's gonna
ah,
be there's gonna be
yeah, there's a
some
couple of
fun.
those where you're like,
I think there's some pretty huge stuff. Some there's a couple that I'm around and involved in, and there's like probably a solid 7 to 10 other ones that I feel like the audiences that you're involved in, that the audiences is just going to be like, it's good TV, man. It's like what I want to watch when I'm watching TV. I want to be surprised.
yeah,
I want to be surprised both by performance and what
yeah,
actors are creating together. And I want to be surprised by story and plot. And there's so many
yeah,
moments like that this year that are like, what?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
What is that like? You've done everything. You've done theater. You've done great theater. You've been in features. You've done other television
Hmm.
work. This is a third season
Hmm.
of a project where you've seen a character that you've worked on um, take an evolution,
Hmm.
and you've partnered up with different directors throughout the process. So maybe talk a little bit about what it's like to journey on this kind of a story over, almost 4 years
Yeah.
of growing this character. Because, like I said with Neil, and like Neil was saying as well, everybody that came to this story contributed um, just 100%, 110%.
Hmm.
And you're one of those actors who is committed to the nth degree to try to make sure that you tell the story that you're responsible for as best as you can. And you want to be a part of a story that is doing that same, or is committing that same sort of energy.
Hmm.
And so, talk a bit about what it's like to create a story and a character over 3 seasons. And
Hmm.
then maybe also, because Kasha is going to be the first director that all of them are going to experience this third season,
Hmm.
what it was like to work with this little graphic novel drawing
Yeah.
director for 6 episodes in the third season, and maybe you could like give us some of those illustrations.
Um, okay, so there's a couple things that you talked about there. One, what Neil really did so well, and you guys talked about in your conversation, was not separating um, the human and from the artist, and
Yeah,
his journey in humanity, and how that was reflected in his character,
yeah,
and how as we are growing as artists, how we are also we're growing as actors. We're
yeah,
improving, we're making adjustments, and for me, I think it's important to, it was my first TV show. It was I mean, I had done some TV shows where I was on for like a season or I was on for 4 episodes, but I had not had the opportunity to develop a character like this. In addition to that, I, it was such an incredible learning experience for me because I experienced so much failure in the process, and good artistic failure. Like I'm constructively looking back on it and
yeah,
saying,
yeah,
how would I like to improve?
yeah,
And in season one, I approached it almost as I would a play, but it's not. It's a TV show. And I
yeah,
approached it almost like I had when I was doing a feature film, but it's not.
yeah,
It's a TV show. And there
yeah,
was so much that I was getting in my own way a lot. I see that like when I could look back, I can see like how I was getting in my own way, and I felt like intruding sometimes the process of artistically, and you can't help, by the way, you don't know, like you're doing your best in the moment, so
oh my
you,
God, yeah,
you're
it's
really like,
hindsight now,
of course, you're like
yeah,
you're trying your best. When you look back, you're like, oh man, that could have been
yeah,
better if, or I wish I had known about this new thing that I've learned about now. And that was, when Kasha joined us at the end of season two,
yeah,
um, I think she helped me to discover a joyful approach that, like, this doesn't, you know, you talked about how you put yourself in that place. And sometimes it consumes your day when you're having that I'm being reunited with my son scene in that conversation with Neil. And I think I would get so enveloped in that I forgot about the second part, which you said, which is, you know, making thrillers as comedy, which is like, hey, man, this is also life. Like, let's not separate the artist from the human. And let's enjoy this experience. Let's make sure the people I'm surrounding myself are enjoying this experience. And I think that Kasia helped me kind of understand. That's right. Understand that relationship too. And I hadn't begun this sort of journey yet of exploring further my own personal lack of emotional and social intelligence yet. So I'm still sort of existing even while we were filming season 3 with a limited tool set as a human being. But having her when I'm...
As we all are, bloody hell. Don't you
totally
think? It's kind of a growing process right now.
It's life journey, man. It's this is the journey of life. You know, it's like I posted something yesterday on Instagram that's like, you can always begin. You can always, it's never too late to start. It's never too late to like take a look. It's never too late to say you're sorry, admit that, you know, you want to make an adjustment. This is part of the beauty of that I'm embracing now, that I'm like, oh, it's so free. And honestly, it's like part of what's
liberating.
This movement is also encouraging. I mean, that's what the Black community is kind of saying is to everyone is like, you know, if you have been existing in a shameful place or a place that hasn't been making your community feel safe, you can start right now. It's okay. You don't have to feel...
Paradigm shifts are okay.
And we don't need to be threatened by that. But anyhow, so this year working with Kasia, gosh, it's like hard to talk about. Let me just say, I had a lot of time with Kasia. Just us. I don't know how else to say it. And we were able to, or I was able to really feed off of her artistic joy and her artistic. I mean, and she does like, I mean, I say to people she's my favorite director often because there's so much that she is able to, that she encapsulates that I love about artistry. She's deeply passionate, but she's easy going. And she's deeply compassionate. And
yet she's fearless, you know what I mean?
Totally.
She is like the tip of the spear every morning.
Like her bravery and courage, her sense of self, her personal humanity, and her artistic humanity, and the way that she relates to people, and she makes everyone, like good human beings should, make everyone feel valued at all times, no matter who they are, whether it's you or it's somebody who's, you know, who's a PA who's not even getting paid. She values them values them equally, and I really adore that about her. And to answer your question about the drawings, you guys, Kasia, I've always said Adamic. How do you say her last name? Because I'm going to screw this up.
I say Adamic.
Adamic.
You know.
You're probably closer because you're from that portion of the world. She is an extraordinary artist. So on top of her, visual artist. So on top of being having this extraordinary ability to communicate with the artists that she's working with, she can draw every thought that she has so that she can deliver it to the director of photography, to production designers, to us, and let us understand her vision so that by the time we begin or arrive at the scene,
she had an entire panel of what we were shooting that day. We were looking at comic books every morning.
It's amazing.
Like, okay, that's what we got to shoot. Got it. No problem. These are the angles. Got it. No problem.
It's funny because I hadn't, until you just said it, like we've talked about our show being graphic novel before, but it's funny because I didn't, for whatever reason, I didn't tie that, her drawings are like, are the graphic novel. Like I didn't even put that together till right now. She's special. What a special time. And Greg's episodes are really,
can you imagine? Hey, by the way, can you direct the last 4 episodes of this? And
Yeah.
by the way, they're the craziest ones.
So
And we know you're
insane.
new, but come on in. Yeah.
I can't I mean, I really can't believe how much those last episodes are so can I say they're action heavy? I could say there's a lot of action. There's a lot of action.
You can say that.
I can say
Yep,
there's a lot of
there's a lot
action.
of action.
And for
All
those,
kinds of action.
yeah, for those of you that are watching that don't know, action's very hard to film. It takes a very long time. Where you can shoot a dialogue scene, and dialogue scenes take time too, by the way. But if you and I are doing a scene and it's 2 pages long, that might take an afternoon, or it might take half the afternoon, but it's going to take some time to do, and that scene might end up being 3 minutes long. To shoot like 30 seconds of an action sequence can be a day sometimes. I mean, it's really tough. So when you see those,
and you know better than most actors because you're comfortable in that genre. You've done features that are in that genre. You know, when we would come to set and you needed to just off the cuff do something because the scene required it, you were like, oh yeah, no problem, right? So that's a world that you feel very like,
I feel really comfortable in action in action stuff. It is very fun. And honestly, that education that I've had, you know, working with like Wade Eastwood, who does all the Mission Impossible movies and designed all those crazy, you know, dropping off the helicopter, hanging outside of the airplane stunts and all those awesome fight sequences. That's one of the reasons why like I wanted to compliment you and compliment Francois and our stunt performers, is because I mean I feel like, you know, that designer on that level is the kind of human being that would be watching our TV show, which was shot for a budget that he would, you know, he's never seen before, with in a time constraint that he's never seen before. And would be blown away, knowing that, you know, that you trained to do those things, that you were, you know, outside of any stunt that we can die doing, we did. And that's a huge compliment. I mean, that's massive, because a lot of TV shows, especially TV shows, just because the time constraint is so limited, they don't want, nor do the actors want sometimes, to spend the time devoting to those sequences, because it's just just too. I do too.
Like it?
I love it. I find it very
fun.
For body, for mind. It's like, you know, my favorite parts when I was playing sports was practice. I loved practice. I love honing the skills, and the whole stunt training is exactly that. It's like going to athletic practice. And I also liked practice a lot because it was the non-competitive part. You know, and the thing I never really liked about sports was like me versus you. I never liked winning. I always felt bad about winning or something, you know? I enjoy more the team effort.
Where it's a team. Where it's a community. I'm going to jump in 2 seconds, but I want to ask you one question, because we just launched in Brazil. And you traveled a little bit in Brazil. And so just speak a little bit about whether it's your food experience, where you visited, because I know that our Brazilian audience is just going to adore the fact that you got to soak up some of their world and culture. And I envy that a bit, because I can't wait to go myself, which is obviously going to have to wait a little longer than anticipated. But tell us a little bit about going and experiencing that world.
Well, first of all, love to Brazil, love you guys. I have to start by saying I hope you're all staying safe. I know that Corona is hitting you guys in a very real way right now, so I hope everybody's safe, and I hope that our show can be a respite from the stress that I'm sure you're all encountering. Man, that country, what a place. My ex-girlfriend is from there, and so I spent I guess a total of probably about 4 months living in and around Sao Paulo, and I got to experience, I mean, everything from weddings to, you know, some of the best street food that I've ever had in my life, to some of the best restaurants. I'm a big food guy, so I like food, like eating like with chefs and things like that. And One of the best meals I've ever had in my life was Alex Atala, who I know every single Brazilian knows.
Oh my God, I
Um,
love him.
oh, he's awesome.
I love him.
He's awesome. Got to meet him too. I remember I tweeted out, I was like, hey, had this experience at this restaurant, or made a story about it. And then he wrote me and he was like, hey, let me know next time you're around. I'll come say hey. And he's just like super sweet, open-hearted, nice guy, gentle giant.
Did you see his chef's kitchen? Did you see his chef's kitchen?
Yeah, the chef's table thing on Netflix.
Chef's table, that's it. Yeah.
That is the reason why I went there. I had seen it and I was like, I have to go eat this guy's food. And I ate the ants that he serves that are indigenous Amazonian, indigenous tribes have been eating for years. And it was just such an extraordinary place. And
also how he's contributing actually to the country and to that world.
Exactly.
And to the environment in general. It's awesome.
And the people are like a lot of, everywhere that I visited in South America, there's this sort of, it's very different than America. There's a friendliness that we often may not have. Sometimes we can be a bit individualistic and sort of like not get to know your neighbors kind of thing sometimes. And it's the community is very strong in Brazil, and I really loved that too.
Enjoy Brazil, guys. I hope you guys enjoy all of the episodes that you're watching now. Patrick, I'm going to jump. I'm going to go and say hello to someone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll keep watching. I'm going to be watching. And hi, everybody that I haven't seen, like Will and whomever is going to show up. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Stana. I'm really excited for you. I'm really excited for all the love you're going to get for this. Yeah. Well, I know, but particularly, man, come on now. It's a crazy season for you. It's pretty rad. All right. Good to see you. Bye.
Okay, now I got to figure out how to get. Will, did you sign up? Will, did you sign up? Will. Ah. So. Will. Oh, Patrick, Lou. Let me try to get you in. Add. Hey.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Senti's coming up tomorrow. Broke up from school last week.
Yeah.
Doing good, yeah. How are you?
Good. Is it like crazy late for you right now, or are you okay?
It's 8 o'clock, so it's all right.
Okay, good. Let me jump into the questions really quick, okay?
Okay.
So, you know that we can't like spoiler anything, right? Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna try to guide the conversation, but if I spoil something, if you spoil something, we'll like beep each other, just like Neil said earlier, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you've been doing this character for 3 years, almost 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've been jumping back and forth from location. So when you weren't filming, you were going back home and you were doing schoolwork and just normal everyday life and auditioning and so on, right?
Yeah.
So maybe what I think we could start off with is, what is that like? You were tiny when we started, right? You were like half the size, at least 2 feet shorter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now here you are. Like there was a period where you and I were looking eye to eye nearly, and I was like, oh, okay, this has changed, right?
Yeah.
This last season. What was that like for you? Kind of balancing the schoolwork, balancing the work, balancing jumping between these two countries. Your parents are so beautiful. One of them would come with you every time that you came down, and they're just like the coolest set parents that I've met. Honestly, they're really just like,
thank you.
They gave you space to do what you needed to do, but they were also there just in case you needed extra support or help or whatnot. And they were just like really fun to have alongside as a cast for us. So tell me a little bit about what's that like. This is a 3-year journey for you. this is a character that you've been playing now since you were 2 feet shorter. And how did you balance doing that work with all of the homework and stuff that you had when you had to get home?
I think at first it was harder because I weren't used to it. It was,
Yeah.
I come back from Bulgaria and I had a ton of catch-up work to do from my school. But
Yeah.
then as I got into it through the seasons, I've kind of just adapted to that. I know I've got homework when I come back, so as soon as I come back, I'll do it. And
Yeah.
it's almost as if me and Flynn have grown up together in a weird way. We've
Yeah.
both come from being kids to young adults in a weird way.
Yeah.
And so we can relate in some ways because we're both teenagers. And yeah, it's weird, but I like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Mm.
What do you think? Maybe we could talk a little bit about Flynn. What did you think is? This is kind of a big one actually, because we talked a lot. We had a couple of rehearsals, right? Like we would all meet in the hotel lobby and chat about the scenes at hand and talk a little bit about where the characters were going. And we also had like heavy duty rehearsals with directors and producers and showrunners and everyone in advance of each sort of block. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what you think is for Flynn over this 3 years. What's the most important thing for him without spoiling anything? And maybe specifically this season, because maybe it changed, you know?
I think for Flynn, I think the most important thing since season 1 has been his family and his own safety.
Yeah.
I think he just wants everything to be one nice, happy family. And he knows it won't ever be like that, but that's what he longs for. I think throughout all the seasons, his actions are like, he always depends on you, his dad. He always trusts you because he knows what you're capable of. And he wishes that it could all be together, but he knows it will never be like that. So even him, as he grows up, he has to kind of gain some sort of independence because he knows he's going to face some sort of problems that you faced, that his dad's faced. And yeah, it's just, that's what he longs for, I think, for safety.
Yeah. I told people that Flynn is definitely, there's no question that Flynn is Emily's son. And I mean that in the vein of certain qualities and characteristics inherent in that character, talents, instincts. And I think that comes to the foreground more this season than ever. And maybe you could talk a little bit about that as well.
I think the main thing he's got from his mum is resilience. It's that he won't give up, even if he knows that it may not turn out okay. He won't give up because he wants the positive outcome, even though he may never get it.
Yeah.
It's like he always hopes for better, even though he's preparing for the worst.
Yeah.
And I think that is what is a driving force. I think his parents, his family is his driving force because he knows he needs to be persistent and also determined to get done what he needs to do because is what he's faced with and he can't escape it because they're the obstacles in his way.
Yeah. I'm looking at you and I'm like, he's beautiful. Look at him.
Thank you.
So, like, as far as Corona is concerned, how are you navigating that? Have you been able to stay online, stay social? Are you like, what is it like for you? Are you looking forward to going back to school one day, or are you kind of like, actually, this is good. I'm okay with doing school from the computer. What's that like?
It's been weird because I've had to do my schoolwork on a computer and it's normally us just writing in books in a classroom, but now it's just typing out essays and filling out worksheets online and it's different. But I prefer school. I never thought I'd say it, but I prefer actually to go to school than be at home.
Well, I hope you get back to school soon, and I hope that you get also back to work soon because you're a lovely actor. And I love working with you, and thank you for being my scene partner, and thank you for bringing everything that you bring to that character and to our show, period. You're just really like a lovely human to work with, and just a talented boy. So much success, much love. I'm sending you all of the good spirit fingers, and please give my love to your family as
I
well.
will.
Yeah, yeah. I'll see you. Bye.
All right, bye bye.
Okay. So I don't know if Will is on, but Will, if you are on, oh, there you are. Oh, you're not able to join. Why aren't you able to join? Okay. I know what I'm gonna do. Do you guys want me to answer some questions? You want me to save this? Why don't you tell us he was British? Because. um, no, you can't decline. Why did you decline? Somebody knows that I'm reaching out to him. Undecline. I'm going to do it again, okay? Ready? There you go. Hi, Italy. Hello. Ooh. I'm gonna try. Watch this. I am going to try. No. Oh, wait, maybe up at the top now. Yes. Add. Hi.
I'm here. I've always been here. How are you?
Yay, you guys. This is
Hey.
Bill Pasco. This is our showrunner. He is the man responsible for the entire season.
With lots of help from lots of people.
Can you turn the camera around? Because you're sideways, and I'm not sure if
I
I
like
view it sideways.
You
want to do that? Is this an artistic choice?
How's this?
Okay.
Is this better? Am I upside down now? No,
Yeah.
now my cord's in the way. All right. I'm just going to hold it. There. Is that good?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Okay. We have to jump at like 12:20, something like that.
Yeah,
We have to jump,
yeah.
right? Are we okay for time? I don't even know what time it is.
Well, I was wondering if Matt standing by, because I think
so.
people want to hear.
I tried to click him in. Yeah.
Okay, try and bring him in because people should hear from him. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And what about Big Patrick's hair? He was like going Spicoli on us. Like, I wouldn't have recognized him.
He's like Serpico.
I know. If I had walked by him on the street with that hair, I would not have noticed it was him because his hair, he looks completely different.
I know. It is, it's early Brad Pitt. Yeah.
And I mean, like, mine's getting there too. That's why I'm wearing a hat, because I need a haircut and I can't get one. So, yeah.
Oh, it's 12:15. Okay, let's jump. Ready? I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Okay.
All right.
Okay, let me see. But yeah, you know what? Let's get into this one question. What were some of the themes? This is like a hardcore one, but dive in as deeply as you can. What were some of the themes that you and the writers targeted for this season? And I know that's going to be tough to discuss without
spoiling it,
but yeah, but we've chatted a bit about it, and I think we've got some things that we can kind of handle.
I think resistance, redemption, resilience, only themes that start with the letter R. We wanted to give all the characters a little journey this season, to start them in one place and have them end in someplace else, and to have changed from that journey and that experience. And I think when people watch the show, they'll see those little journeys, because it's a family. There's a workplace family at the FBI. There's the Byrne Duran family, and Emily's like the center of the universe in which all the other people are planets that orbit. And it was kind of like her journey should reflect on theirs, and their journey should reflect on hers. Yeah. And it was like we wanted to tap into things going on in the world, and without spoiling anything, when they watch the show, you'll see things that have happened in the last year and a half on planet Earth reflected into the show. And I'm just thinking when they get to the later episodes that we meet someone unnamed, and how the actor brought something interesting to that character, which is now very prescient in our world.
Weird.
It's so weird. It was like we had a crystal ball like this time last year, and now it's all happening in the world. But we just wanted to do a season that was about stuff, and it's about Emily finding empowerment from within and finding her place in the world and her role in it, and channeling her experience from season 1 to now into a new way to reinvent and write her own story going forward.
That was a fantastic shortened version of it, and I know you can dive really deep on this topic. And we will.
Yeah, we'll do this again now that we figured it out.
Oh my gosh.
Technologically.
You know what? I was telling Neil, it's kind of. Anyway, we'll leave that. Okay.
I had tears in my eyes with Neil's personal story. I didn't know a lot of that stuff, and like kudos to him for sharing it to the world that in that human, honest, blunt, truth way.
You're wonderful for advocating for so much acknowledgement for your team. One of the things that the audience should know is that you pushed for the writer's assistants to get acknowledged in the credits in the show, and you constantly point towards the rest of your group to say, this is so and so, they did this episode, these were ideas that came from them. And you came from, I mean, you've earned your stripes, right? You came through a bunch of other shows. You were a co-producer and a writer on Orphan Black, which is a really cool show.
Little poster right there.
Yeah, and you've seen this work done, and you've done it before, but why is it so important for you to acknowledge the team behind you and the team behind the story? Why is it so important for you to make sure that the people with the biggest paycheck and the people with the smallest paycheck all get acknowledged?
Mostly because it doesn't happen without all of those people. I never want to be one of those people that writes every word of a show, because I think good ideas come from all people, and it's good to have ideas that get bounced around and strengthened and rejected and improved upon. And a writer's room does that. And you've spoken about this before. The best idea wins regardless of who it comes from. So that's why these people should get acknowledged, because their ideas, their stories, their jokes, their personal experiences end up in the show one way or the other. So it's just good to share the credit, because we all look good when the show looks good, and vice versa.
You've been an amazing partner, an amazing, beautiful advocate for this show, and you have ridden this ride and stayed with it. You've done relentless work all along the way, and I want audiences to know that that it's a pleasure, it's a gift to work with you. I mean that sincerely, and that at the end of the day, the story that gets put on screen, I hope something that you'll be proud to your voice.
Already
and
am.
so I hope that the audiences are what your audience is going to be able to find you through it. Yeah.
Well, it's a cliche, but it's actually a cliche because it's true. It really does take a village, and you and I have spoken about this before about the cast coming in from all over the world, the crew on the ground in Bulgaria, our post people in Europe and here in Los Angeles, visual effects. Everyone just kind of gave it their all this season, and the results are on the screen. It looks great. We've had great partners all the way through this thing, like from the studio and Amazon and Julie Glucksman, our EP. It's just like everyone's just put their heart and soul into the show. And we're just super excited now that it's coming out after like a year and a half of talking, writing, prepping, shooting, posting, marketing. Like it's just been a journey like the characters on the show, but now it's all coming out and we just really hope people love it and dive into it. And my goal often with these things, like our first job, I think you would agree, is to entertain, right? Like let's do 10 hours and entertain people, but in that 10 hours of entertainment and action and intrigue and mystery and all that stuff, if we can enlighten the audience, if we can engage the audience, if we can empower the audience, all the better. That's all bonus. Like 90% of our job is entertain, but that other 10% can be really equally important too. And I think this season hopefully makes people think about the world, opens their eyes a little bit, empowers them to go out and take a critical eye at things. And without spoiling anything, when they see the season, this will all make sense. Right now it doesn't, but it will.
Yeah.
And it just, to challenge the audience to like, be good citizens in the world and be involved with the world and look outside your own little bubble at some of the injustices and issues that are happening in the world.
One last question and one last note. When we were on phone calls discussing just the sort of post of it all, I would occasionally hear strumming in the background, a guitar going, and
that's one of them.
You're a bit of a musician.
Yes.
Yeah, you're a bit of a musician.
Yes.
And not only that, but when it came down to working with Casper on the sound design, like this has come into my mind and come to the forefront of this discussion because I've recently finished Three Women, Robert Altman's Three Women. And in that movie, I sat there, I was like, wow, sound. The sound was helping to tell the story on another level. And you were, partially because of this music background that you have, you were, I'm guessing, and also because you're the showrunner, you had very specific thoughts, ideas, and luckily you were partnered up with someone like Casper to make sure that those things, because you were sending us you're like, this is what this moment should sound like in order to indicate a character's psychosis or psychological state at points, and you're sending us samples of that. You even had the terminology ready to go. Talk a little bit about how important sound is for you as an artist, for you as a writer, for you as a showrunner.
Because of, I think, and I've had this theory for a number of years, because of reality television, which is a little less, you got bumpy camera work, shaky, whatever. I think audiences nowadays will forgive kind of a rough image, like, something that's a little handheld or bumpy or whatever. But if the sound is bad, they can't hear someone talking, they start reaching for the remotes and getting mad. So for me, sound is important. One, because it's the words. I'm a writer and I want to protect the words, but I also just think people want to hear it and they want it to sound good. And we are really fortunate with our post-sound production team in Poland, Casper and his crew. Like, this sounds like a movie. Like I remember sitting in the mixes and some of the sounds I was hearing was like, I really hope the audience on their TV sets can hear this because it just sounds magical. And it's another dimension to the storytelling. And, we want you guys to look and sound good, and sound is a big part of that algorithm. So we're lucky that we have amazing sound people on the show who can get us inside Emily's head. Here, and Stana, you talked about it, the crickets in her head. You always talk about Emily, wasp. The cricket, the wasp. Yeah. That's it. Yes, I knew it was an insect of some kind. the wasp in her head. And we do that this season in some of these flashbacks and moments of trauma where we kind of go into her shoes and into her headspace. And sound is the way to do that in a really elegant way.
Okay, good luck to all of us. Actually, in the mouth of the wolf, as they say. Okay.
Spoiler.
I'll be talking to you. I'll be talking to you in like 3.5 minutes. But
Okay.
I'll jump off and see if I could get Matt on.
Okay, I'll leave and listen. Bye.
Yes, and I'll talk to you in a bit. Bye. Okay, let me see who's next. Hold on. Oh, I got a request. Yes. For those of you who are wondering, Will is on Instagram. He posted a photo of his growing tomatoes. And then there are a few of you who are on Twitter as well, while we're waiting for Matt to link up. And Will is fantastic there. So you guys should be able to, hold on, let me see. I can get Matt. Okay. Link. Thank you. Woo! It's singing. What? Stop. That's it. Hello.
Yeah, I don't know what happened earlier. I obviously pressed the wrong button or something. I don't know.
Hi, Fred. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Where are you?
Good.
Are you up north or are you down this way?
I'm in cell phone connection area in internet land.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So okay, you got a puppy, bud.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's not that.
Yeah.
Moish, come here. I'll bring him in. He's the cutest dog in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can debate the cutest dog in the world thing.
No, we can't. You lose. Come here. You ready to meet Moish?
Yes. Aww.
This is my Moish.
Oh, hello.
He's.
Oh, what a cutie pie.
I know. He's just such a little teddy bear. Although he's not that little.
Gosh.
We can do the interview like this. You can ask Moish questions, and I'll.
And you'll talk through. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, bye-bye. You wouldn't think I'd get this close to a dog's face after last time. Anyway, go on.
What should we talk about, Matt? Like I'm gonna jump soon, but it feels like anything that we dive into, Cal is such a mystery, and we kind of very carefully drop in elements of the character throughout, especially the top of this season.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's a lot.
He unfolds slowly, and it's hard to say anything without.
Well, the thing is, I mean, a lot was planted last year. Those seeds start to return fruit this season. But, you know, if you've got a balance, you know, like there's so many different journeys and different characters in this season. Obviously, I think we get to watch Chris's character. We get to watch a lot of characters develop.
Yeah.
I just want to shout out to, because we don't get a chance to shout out to the audience. So I just want to shout out to the audience and to any of our cast or crew that might be around the world that don't get a chance to talk to us.
Yeah.
Just to say thanks, you know. we've got an eclectic group of people, and you've got an amazing following of people all around the world. And you know, I don't get a chance to talk to a lot of them, and hopefully some of them are watching this. Who really knows? But yeah, I mean, it's been a fun, incredible journey, and Cal goes on a great journey like all the characters do. Will just spoke of that, but yeah, I just want to acknowledge the great time that we all had and the amount of amazing people that we got to work with.
Yeah, and you were one of them. You were such a partner, such a friend, such a storyteller. You're exceptional. I just did an interview in which, you know, they asked about the process and so forth, and I said that you are capable of seeing the big picture in a story, and because of that, you constantly pushed and added value, and we're able to know where Cal needed to be present and where Cal needed to pull back, where Cal needed to be front and center stage, and where Cal needed to give way to another character, and how to help that other character shine in order to tell the story in its best way. And so because of that, it was such a gift to have you on the journey and to walk that journey alongside you as a friend and as a storytelling partner. You're magical, truly magical. I'm excited about the audience seeing your stuff. I know a lot of my people have seen, my people have seen it. My people have seen the episodes already because they're responsible for participating and supporting it, right? Mm-hmm. And the cast shines. The cast is a gift, and your work as Cal is beautiful. Yeah. And I don't get to tell you this enough. Because you don't listen usually. You change the topic. No. Wait, give me a second because I got to see if I have to jump, and I hope I don't. Maybe they moved the meeting. Hold on.
It's all.
We have a little bit longer before I have to go.
We do.
So talk to me
well,
a bit
I don't know. I think
working over there. Go
well,
ahead,
obviously, I benefited from joining in second season, so I got to see the first season, so I had a fresh set of eyes. But it's very rare that you get an opportunity to work on a project where you fall in love with the story and you have also such creative input, like a few people have already, to be able to amazing crew from everyone's there, committed 24/7. You know, I have a young family here, and when I'm there, it's all film. It's all day, all night, and then just to watch the show grow and watch everyone's bonds get tighter, and then also our ability to see that bigger picture and to develop something which, you know, really reach for the stars when it comes to the boldness of its storytelling, yet trying to be as truthful the whole time. It's a joy to be involved with people like that creatively, you know, from the very beginning, and getting a new showrunner this year, and Will, and the driving force behind that is yourself and you know, Catherine and Julie, and then some amazing filmmakers. And what's great is we had some beautiful voices and some amazing female voices on this. You know, which I think is really important because they bring just a stronger, more caring, worldly, you know, balanced take on the world. And I just loved it. I love shooting this season more than any, and I think it shows. I think everyone was committed, and I think the stories were so bold, and the plot lines were so bold when we got them. They were seriously page turners, and then we got to elevate it even more and contribute as much as we could until, you know, obviously you guys just finished the cut, so the audience gets to see it, and I know it's already aired in Poland and Spain, Brazil today, Australia tonight, and then we get it here in the States tomorrow. So it's fun, you know. It's always fun working with you.
Thank you. Just to speak a little bit to that, you know, this season,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we had a gift in getting Will aboard because he is the type of collaborator that,
Yeah.
again, like he led with idea wins, and we get this set of episodes that we brought it in two blocks, right? So we filmed 6 episodes at first,
Mm-hmm.
and then 4 in the latter half, and of
You there? I lost you for a second. Can you hear me? I'll turn you up. I don't know whether it's my end or your end. Just nod if you can hear me. No. I can't hear you. No. That's annoying. What a right pain in the ass. I can't hear you, love. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. You can't hear me either, can you? I don't know what's going on. So you guys can hear me, can you? We can hear Matt, but not Stana. That's what they're saying. All right. Well, I'm about to start chatting. Yeah, the last thing that you mentioned, do you have to go? The last thing that we mentioned, just okay, cool. It doesn't matter. Say hi to your family.